Well, good day to you. It's in the late afternoon. I just got back from move driving, and I took care of some errands today. So I got a haircut. Doesn't hardly notice on my hat, so it doesn't much matter. It only shows up at church when I don't wear a hat. And got my tires rotated and my oil changed, and I had blood tests this morning. I have to do a fasting blood test. Oh, I hate to do that. I hate to go without my coffee until 8 o'clock. Oh, man, that's hard. That's the hardest thing in the whole world. I usually have my coffee by about 5:30 in the morning. To go to 8 o'clock without my coffee, that is just the worst possible thing I can put up with, It's just awful, but I did it because I've got determination. I'm a meaner. I can withstand almost anything. But it's awful hard to go past 8 o'clock without my coffee, but I managed to do it. But that's not what I want to talk about to you today. I want to talk about kind of a new format. I'm going to talk to you about real news. Real news. Things that I'm finding online here in Maine that are stories that I find in newspapers and magazines and whatnot that are printed here in Maine. And the first one I'm going to talk about is this one. It said, odd criticizing a pheasant in Bangor. And what's odd about it is that the fact that there's a pheasant at all in Bangor. They're not native. It's a ring-tailed pheasant, ring-necked pheasant. They're not native to the area. And this one was photographed March 13th of this year. Now, that's really odd because that's still wintertime. It's still pretty cold and really cold at night. What's a ring-tailed pheasant doing on somebody's walking along the street in Bangor, Maine, in the wintertime? And I can just imagine what the editor of the Bangor Daily News is saying to the investigative reporter that he's going to send out on this news story. He says, I want you to go out and do your best to investigate this story. And I can see that the reporter's eyes just rolling. I says, boss, I'm a real investigative reporter. I helped solve that Johnson murder last year, and I helped the police solve that murder. He said, I know, I gave you a hefty bonus for that. Don't you remember? I said, yeah, I did. He says, well, I'm going to do something worse to you if you don't do this story. I said, well, why? Why do you want to do a story like this? It's ridiculous. And he says, yes, it is. And that's exactly why I want you to do the story, because there's something that I know that you don't know. It's stories like this that we print in the paper, in the Bangor Daily News every once in a while. This sells papers. It really does. It's not going to sell today's papers. It's going to sell tomorrow's and next week's. Because it gives people something to talk about. Okay? I want you to go out and find out every single theory that you can discover about why this pheasant was on this person's outside the street, walking the streets in Bangor on March 13th. Yeah, let's see, was it March 13th? It was March 13th of this year. Why this happened, but here's the secret. If you find out the truth of why it actually happened, don't you dare print it. I want you to print all the theories. Okay, that's the most important part. And don't you tell anybody that I told you this, because if you ever want to be an editor yourself, you got to know this secret. It's the theories that are important, because folks will take this article and they'll sit around the supper table at night, and they'll discuss the theories, and they'll say, well, I think it was this one. No, it couldn't possibly be that. It's got to be the other thing. I've got a theory of my own. See, it's that sort of thing that sells papers. They love talking about theories. If they're watching Fox News, what they're going to get is facts. If they're watching CNN, what they're going to get is opinion, And, well, I suppose that's important, but it ain't no fun. What's fun is jibber-jabbing or about theories. So I want you to go out and research. Do your research talents that you're full of. You're a good investigative reporter. You go out there and you find out all the theories that's possible of how this pheasant happened to be in this territory at this time. So I can see the reporter going, all right, boss, I'll do my best, but it's going to take some time. And he says, take the whole day if you want to research the internet, ask the neighbors, do whatever you want to do. But you come back and you write yourself a good article. And this is what he wrote. And the byline says, a pheasant stands alone along Mount Hope Avenue in Bangor recently, by John Holyoke. That's the name of the reporter. BDN, Bangor Daily News Staff, March 13th, 2020, 4 p.m. Maine is home to a wide variety of birds, and even those that don't typically live here can sometimes be found making a quick stopover. Recently, BDN staffer Sam Shapani spotted an unlikely bird, a ring-necked pheasant, on Mount Hope Avenue in Bangor. And I think he's quoting Sam Shapani. I knew the Penobscot County Conservatory Association in Brewster used to raise the birds some 30 or 40 years ago, and then use them to provide hunting opportunities for club members. Could the Mount Hope bird be a remnant of that population of pheasants 30 or 40 years ago? That's quite a theory. A descendant? Could it have survived in the winter for 30, 40 years? Chicks breeding 30, 40 years? That's quite a theory right there. That's worth discussing over the dinner table. And this is the reporter talking now. I reached out to wildlife biologist Brad Allen of the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife to get his take on the matter. This guy did a lot of research. And figure out where a bird like a pheasant, which isn't native to the area, would end up here during the winter. It wasn't a remnant of years past, Allen said, so he shot down the first theory. More likely, it was an escapee from some individual whose hobby it is to raise birds, or from a bird dog owner who might have used the pheasants in dog training. Allen said that even during mild winters, the weather's not favorable for pheasants here in Maine, and they're not likely to survive the winter if they stayed here. And my dog's getting all excited about this article. You can hear her barking about it. She's excited as the reader herself. Allen said he often receives evidence of odd birds from Mainers looking for answers, just like we are. I lost my light in here. I've got to get it back. It's going to come back here any second. Hang on. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. I never really know where the birds come from, but people send me a photo of a chakar or their bird on their bird feeder every year. Now, a chakar, that's a good writer will throw in a 50-cent word now and then that somebody's got to look up in the dictionary. Chukr. I looked that up, and it's an Asian pheasant. You know, they're not native to the territory either. But he just threw in one of them 50-cent words that you got to go look up in the dictionary. You know, and that's good writing. That's good writing to do that. Allen said that pheasants are still raised and released in York and Cumberland counties, and some of those birds might survive the hunting season and persist for a while. That kind of activity doesn't take place in Penobscot County. According to the Peterson Field Guide to Birds of North America, now he's doing more research in a book. See, the ring-necked pheasant's habitat includes farms, field, marsh edges, and brush and grassy roadsides. Not included on that list are paved neighborhoods in Maine's third largest city. But there it was. The sighting wasn't all that rare. A couple years ago, a friend who lives in Orrington sent me a photo of a pheasant on his lawn. Allen has seen some in Bangor as well, so this wasn't the first sighting that has ever happened. We've occasionally had pheasants here around our office off Mount Hope Avenue, and I've seen a flock that I thought may have been a brood get smacked by cars on the interstate by the Bangor Mall, Allen said. So there seems to have been some around. Now, the strange thing about this article, there's not a single answer. There's just a lot of theories. And that was the point of the whole article, is just theories and no facts, no answers, just something to talk about. And that's what sells papers in Maine. Yes, sir. Odd news. Something to talk about over the supper table, and there you have it. Odd news. A pheasant in Bangor on March 13th, 2020, walking along the road in Bangor, Maine.